3 days ago, my restart account in Kingdom 2293 marched through these passes and fought in Kingsland. I streamed a lot of it, but did we actually win? Stick around in this video for the reports, my stats, and to find out who got the W. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming and this is my now 80 million power restart account. I started this KvK close to around 94 million power and did a bunch of troop training as we were going. And my total losses for the fighting is 1.86 million, distributed in this way with almost no archers at all, because basically Amanitore Artemisia was a useless garrison to us, and because the kingdom we were fighting for the majority of this KvK, 1306, is insane. We often did not have the field, so Gilgamesh Nebu rallies were not viable, so basically archers were kind of worthless, which is an awkward situation because I have a whole nother million T5 archers that I really didn't get to use very efficiently. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, do me a huge favor and throw a like on here and consider subscribing. It supports the channel and it's 100% free to play to throw a like on the video. I appreciate you. Thank you. What you want to know now is, did we win, and what some of those reports were that led to this moment, and how my individual commanders and pairings did. And I'll show you the data that actually I think is really interesting once I got to look at it. If I zoom all the way out, baby, you better believe we won Kingsland. And the final fighting took place at this pass. And you may be wondering, bro, you were practically pushed back to your passes over here. How the hell did you pull that off? The enemy kingdom went into downtime, and I talked about this. They're on the other side of the world. So the question when a kingdom goes into downtime is, will they be able to regroup and get the field once again and push us? And the thing that's difficult about downtime is that people see that nobody else is awake yet, and so they just don't start fighting, and they just look, and then they don't play. Whereas if they see that your kingdom is active, then they keep going. They join the fight. They want to participate. But they don't want to be the first one in the fight. And that's the problem with recovering from a downtime. So we were able to, during their downtime, push with our allies all the way through. They were starting to take passes. Our allies were. We took this pass with a series of flags that were quite impressive, actually. And we were able to cut off a ton of territory. And from there, we took some very difficult rallies. And when I say difficult rallies, bro, we were getting wrecked 2-1. And that is not because of the gear. Literally at 2 a.m., I'm like, guys, send me pictures of your gear. Literally, I'm scouring through to try to figure out, like, what the hell is going on that this Gilga Nebu is dunking the hell out of us, okay? Absolutely shredding us. And by the way, this report is actually a Xeno YSS on our part. This is not a Xeno Flav. It started that way, but it was Xeno YSS almost the entire time. We actually did worse, which is really weird. And I couldn't figure out why it was that this rally was wrecking us when on flags, we were actually doing really well against that particular rally. Same rally leader, by the way. Literally, same rally leader, like same support skills. And I couldn't figure out, like, why is it we're doing so much worse? And it is because, I saw later, that the overwhelming majority of the troops in the garrison were not infantry. We had like 300,000 infantry and the rest was other stuff. And I was like, oh, this is why we're getting wrecked. Because even with like Xeno YSS, where YSS is buffing your troops, right? All troop types. Like, just imagine, like, you wouldn't use a garrison with no gear. Well, when you put troops in that are the wrong troop type, like, you're going to get wrecked. It's like you're using no gear. It's the equivalent, right? Because those troops get no benefit. So all that to say, we were basically out of infantry as a kingdom. Like, we were running really low. And we switched around the marker to ultimately be, like, a little more, I think, instructive to say, like, actually, you need to bring infantry, but fill with anything to make sure they don't get the pass, right? And then we saw a much better mix of infantry in the garrison. But thankfully, after this rally, the kingdom we were fighting ultimately called it off, and they were like, all right, we're out of here, man. We're done. And that's in part because I think they could have made a big push coming back into their uptime, our downtime, but our allies had also kind of pushed through. And I think in general, the enemy war camps, and this was a KvK where it was left side of the map fighting right side of the map, I think, had them in a position where they're like, okay, it's GG. And so now we're invading their zone 6s, and we'll have to decide who gets the ziggurat. So I gotta give a big shout out to Kingdom 1306, who we were fighting. I think they expected that we were kind of rookies. They're like, bro, Look at this, 2293. What a young kingdom. And they're right. Like, we had so many players that are like 35 million power that threw their hands in the air, and they're like, every time I leave my city, I'm getting freaking dunked. And that is because 1306, man, they are no joke Imperium. They are a real, proper Imperium kingdom with meta everything for the field. I mean, like, every march is like Nevsky with XY, and Scipio with Honda, and Guan with Leo, because Leo's god tier, and, right? Nebu with Esong. I mean, these guys were terrifying to fight against in the field. They were extremely difficult, very strong kingdom. So I want to give them a lot of kudos. Got to give kudos to our allies for being, I think, very cooperative and also listening to, I think, the direction where our kingdom, if I'm not mistaken, look, I'm not in these talks, but I got the impression that our kingdom gave some really clear direction, gave a lot of really important encouragement when I think that, you know, it would have been possible to be like, man, we're getting wrecked. Do we give up? And thank you to our kingdom's leadership for sticking with it all the way through. I thought what was so impressive toward the end of this KvK is we kind of started with like, anybody launches rallies, and like it's not clear that they're organizing clearing the field, and like there was a lot of like things that you would expect to see in a young kingdom, but you would not expect to see in a battle-hardened kingdom. And toward the end of the KvK, it felt like there was none of that sort of stuff, and instead it was replaced with really clear rally leadership, the right people launching the rallies with the right rally combinations against the, you know, appropriate garrisons in all these different places, calling out, clear the field, move here, do this, do that. And it looked and performed really, really well. And that is how we were able to, despite being many billions power less in part than the folks opposing us, do really well. So I don't know who's going to get the Zig. I'm glad I'm not in leadership, that I don't have to think about that kind of stuff. But kudos again to the folks who were fighting. You were really difficult, like really difficult. And kudos to our allies. Thanks for sticking through and fighting perhaps longer than you might have wanted to, because I know our leadership was like, go, fight, go. We were really going for it. And I also, I think, really respect that if you just get a look at some of these alliance mails here, like, a lot of there were like 5 males. I unintentionally deleted a couple that were like, don't you dare trash talk. Because look, the kingdoms we were fighting were like really, really strong. And I already flashed this on the screen. So look, on the topic of bots, I really don't think that the opposing kingdom was using bots that I could see. I know that a number of people in our kingdom changed their name to, you know, another language because they thought that maybe bots wouldn't target them. But my perspective on this one is that it's harder to say a name out loud that you don't know how to pronounce. And so that's probably all that it is. Look, I didn't see anything that was convincing of bots, but if people got anything recorded, I'll take a look. I don't think that's the case. I think 1306 just did a really, really stellar job fighting in the field, and they're just really strong. Now, as far as my commanders and how they performed, what's really interesting about this particular KvK is that I got my 30 million kills. In fact, I exceeded it. In fact, I pulled down 600 and I guess about 600 million kill points in this KvK, over 30 million kills. And because I've never fought with Skippy before, because I've never fought with Nevsky before, I can look at their kills and we can see exactly how many I got with these commanders. 8.5 million on my Guan Skippy combo from this KvK. They were paired together the entire KvK for everything I did. If we look at Nevsky Esong, which is a pair I would not recommend, actually. Like, it's fine, but it's just a holdover. That's not like an end state. It's because I knew resources are a huge problem for me because I don't have a farm for this account. And so I wanted a way to use Esong. I wasn't going to commit a 5th march with suboptimal gear. I wanted to do 4 marches, and that's something I can get away with because I fight like the entire KvK. Anyways, here we go. 3.5 million kills here. So not nearly as many kills. That's in part because with Scipio, I can do a ton of cheeseburgering. So a ton of credence here, again, to my guidance that I've been giving for a while, that I think Skippy is a better first investment for most players for the open field over Nevsky. Not to say that Nevsky isn't great, but there's more you can do with Skippy, including cheeseburgering, that works really, really well. If you don't know what cheeseburgering is, card up in the top, very important to understand exactly how that goes and how you can really wreck people by popping right out of your city. My other marches I've used in other KvKs, but just for perspective, I've used Trajan in 2 KvKs now, and it's got 5.8 million kill points, which, I mean, Obviously, you know, Nevsky will get more than that once I've done 2 KvKs. Also, Nevsky's going to get a lot more than that once I actually put a proper secondary to it. If I get a look at the other pair I was using, it's Alex and CJ. I mean, these commanders I've used in a ton of KvKs, though. Alex, I mean, when we did KvK 2 a second time, like, yeah, I've got a ton of kills with this guy. So 15 million kills on my Alexander the Great. If I look at CJ, who I've used for 2 KvKs, he's got 10.6 million kills. So honestly, like, a lot of my killing in this game has been done in the Season of Conquest. And I do prefer Season of Conquest. I like the commanders. I like that I am rewarded for properly hoarding sculptures and investing in those right commanders rather than going for the first thing that's available to me. And I think I take pretty good advantage of all of that. My technology at the end of this KvK, just from buying the pop-up bundles and the crystal supply and the crystal quest, I know that's sounding like and, but none of the bundles that came from Mountain War, none of the daily bundles. So we're looking at under $100 or maybe around $100. Actually, probably around $100 spent. If I show this to you, my tech's in a great spot. I mean, I've got, let's see here, 10 out of 10 on Quench Blades 3. I was all infantry pretty much. So that's a pretty big deal. 9 out of 10 for the Cav attack, number 3. I do have 9 out of 10 on attack formation. So that's damage for all troop types, which is pretty good. I guess technically attack for all troop types. 10 out of 10 on Special Medicines 1. 9 out of 10 on Improved Morale and Special Medicines 2. And I did forego unlocking the 6th March, although I want to do that really soon. Because at this point, KvK is, I think, mostly over. So I guess the sooner I do that, the more I can gather. And I seriously need to be gathering resources. Like, no joke, this is going to be a huge problem for me. If you want to see just how pinned down we were, you could check out my live stream where we started fighting on the far left side of the zone, and we were nearly pushed back to our pass, and we pushed all the way to the far right side of the zone. I streamed a lot of that, so card will be up in the top, so you can go check that out. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already for more Rise of Kingdoms videos designed to help you get value and smash your enemies. And if you'd like to join us in my Restart Kingdom, that's 2293, we now have, hopefully it'll be 3 stars on our flag if we get the Zig this KvK. I mean, I won't talk more about whether or not I think we've earned it, although, I don't know, I feel like we did fight the toughest kingdom, the majority of the KvK, and offer a lot of leadership, but without getting into that, it's a really solid kingdom, man. It's a really solid kingdom. And until next time, you have fun, smashing the kingdom, good luck in your KvK.